Okay. I think we're okay now. I think we're back. I don't know what happened there. I think what happened was my computer decided it wanted to auto-update. Which, not cool, considering that it shouldn't be doing that when you're streaming. And I'm pretty sure I had settings set up where it shouldn't be doing stuff like that, but... You know, modern computers, they kind of just do whatever they want at this point. It's all being taken out of our control. Well, at least it seems like it's working again. Sorry about that, though, for anyone that's like, wait, what's going on? We are continuing where my stream left off before it decided to crash and burn there. But it seems like it's working again. Hopefully it sticks around, so I guess I'll quickly jot that down before I forget. There we go. Darn thing. Wonder if it'd be worth sharing in the windows or not a second. Getting it fixed up right now, so 1 second. Yep, here we go. Seems like it's all working again. I can't believe it did that, though. Like, really? Technology. There we go. That's probably about as good as it's gonna get. I can't believe that happened, though, but it is what it is. That was last year's saying, but I think it's going to be this year's saying quite a bit, too. For better and for worse. So it crashed, and we were talking about where I was going to put Rosalina's reveal on the list, which, thankfully, all that managed to, you know, stay intact without losing all where the progress I was at, so... I will put Rosalina currently at pretty good. I don't have a lot of investment in the character as a Mario character, but still enjoy the Mario franchise to this day. Have used her in Mario Kart and the other games that she's playable in, including Smash. So seeing her joining was still pretty exciting, even though I didn't have like huge investment in Galaxy at that point. But cool to see more Mario characters. It was worth it. Let's see. So let's continue where we left off, because now we're starting to get into the trailers that are really going to get me hyped. Yep, definitely this next one. Which looks like that's all set back up, good to go. Here we go. After I turn off this border again. Perfect. And their tradition is going strong now. This was actually... As soon as I started hearing that music and I saw that pink tracksuit and jacket, I knew who it was. I had a huge investment in Punch-Out. It was one of my favorite games to actually play on the NES emulator through Animal Crossing when you unlocked it. I played a lot of Punch-Out. Nice touch, actually, having the sandbag as the punching bag, too. And this trailer was just so cool to see in this animated style. Tekken Tag 2 did it similarly with a few of its cutscenes with Bob. It was probably the same studio that did it. So I was already a fan. This is a great time. Smash 4 and Tekken Tag 2. So much fun back then. How dare you mock my height! He may be small, but they say big things come in small packages. Including that punch of his. It's like armor, he can just armor through attacks, you don't even care. And a counter. It's not just a Fire Emblem thing. Proof that anyone can counter. Uh-oh, there was the big warning. Here, no air fighter, Mac. And that was where the red flags went off for everyone. It's like, wow, he's so good on stage, but get him off stage and all the good feelings are gone. So many people were not happy with Mac. Maybe at first when he was announced, but as Smash 4 went on, a lot of people were very unhappy with him. Aw. Samus. He's like, I'm fine. It's just but a scratch. Oh, yeah. Thinking about this? Ooh. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. It's pretty close to being a favorite. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a Monte's favorite. I had a lot of investment in Little Mac being playable. One of my favorite characters from the early days of Nintendo's history. And Punch-Out's just such a fun game, and Little Mac was just so cool as a really... Well, especially once you actually got to play him. Not counting the fact that once you started playing competitively, it realized just how bad it really was. But at the time, the reveal, I was so excited to see that Little Mac was actually playable. I'm like, you brought a retro character in that I actually know something about and care something about. Because I only got into Ice Climbers post-Melee and had any care of like, oh, Ice Climbers, because of the NES games you unlocked in Animal Crossing. So, Punch-Out, I had plenty of time to play. Up to that point, past Brawl into Smash 4 to actually care and be like, Little Mac, you didn't have to bring him back, but you did. So this got me so hyped, and I cared, even though he sucks. I was still happy to see him added. He's a fave. I still think to that trailer and just that unique style that it had too, which was also a testament to how they weren't just doing really high-end CG trailers. They're also doing really fun stylized ones too. And Little Mac got to be like the pioneer of the stylized reveal trailer. It was pretty good. So, shift back over there a moment, and let's get this next one going. And that's when I was like, oh no, it's a Pokemon trailer. Who's going to be the new Pokemon? Ooh, we got Charizard back! But then we start to realize, hey, wait a second, why aren't they doing like some cool close-ups on like Ivysaur and Squirtle? What's going on? And started to realize, wait, it's just Charizard that's coming back. But then, we got the Newcomer, the new Mon of the block. Even though we first get this really epic shot of Mario and all these other fire elements going up against Charizard, the King of Fire. But somebody called the fire department. When your local ninja runs the fire department. And there he is, the Water Frog Ninja himself. This is also around that time I started playing a lot of X and Y. I was getting back into Pokemon during that period. And admittedly, Greninja was probably the coolest pick to have out of them. It's pretty much the only starter I remember immediately off the top of my head out of all of them. Because we had the Firefox. And, shoot, what was the grass one? I can't remember off the top of my head. See, that's what I mean. X and Y itself only really left an impact in the sense of, like, just playing it with my friends. But the game itself didn't stick quite as much looking back. It was cool having another ninja archetype in the game, too. Not just Sheik. Yep, and they also showed off the Mega Charizard X. So this was kind of a Charizard and Greninja reveal in one package, but still highlighting the Greninja part. I remember not being happy. I remember actually being more so like, wait, where's Mewtwo? that meme, that was a thing where everyone was like, Greninja, but where's Mewtwo? And then, of course, seeing Charizard as a standalone, this is when we were starting to also learn that, yeah, because of it being on both setups with the Wii U and the 3DS, that the hardware just couldn't support transformations, so Sheik and Zelda were no longer transformations, no Samus into Zero Suit, and then, of course, we also found out no Ice Climbers, too. And Pokemon Trainer was also cast to the wayside due to hardware limitations, so... yeah, given those details, as far as the reveals go, seeing just Charizard was kind of... it was alright. Nice to see that he was back. But it was pretty underwhelming considering that we had Pokemon Trainer before and we only got one out of the three. But at least Charizard was the best part. I would have been probably more in the indifferent if it had been like Ivysaur or Squirtle, because Charizard is the most fun for me to play out of the three of them. And also with my Pokemon history, Charizard was just so cool. He was straight up fire. So that part of the reveal was just, The Greninja part was actually pretty good. I was excited to see a new Mon joining the roster and just kind of getting that Pokemon hype going again for me and my friends. So I'd say Greninja... currently, I'd have to say Greninja is going to be at the top of pretty good. That's very likely going to change. But for the moment, Greninja is going to be the top. Out of the three starters, I definitely felt that this was the best pick. So, as far as that went, couldn't have gotten any better for a new Pokemon rep. Greninja got very popular throughout X and Y and became even more popular afterwards. Maybe thanks between, you know, the anime with Ash having a Greninja and all that going on. There was a lot of Greninja hype, so it was warranted. Let's see. I guess that means we're going to be hopping into the next one then. Alright. I guess I better get it started. Oops. Just kind of keeping track of time too and realizing, yeah, it's a good thing I'm doing this in two parts, and that little hiccup there certainly didn't help anything, but we're still moving along. There's a lot of Smash to be checking out. Oh, this was exciting. It's such a simpler time 10 years ago, over 10 years ago now. It's crazy to think also that we're, like, what, 10 years since Iwata passed away, too? This is probably one of the coolest and hilarious things that both him and Reggie were ever a part of, was this trailer. Not quite sure what it was doing, but it was pretty exciting. Like, wait, East versus West? Is this Nintendo America versus Nintendo Japan? Is this the fight to give us Mother 3? And this part was always hilarious. So many GIF memes came out of this. Yep, there it is. You're like, wait, what would they have to be doing with Smash Bros? What's all this about? And there it is. Now, literally anyone, you or me, could be in Smash Bros. This was about as amazing of a way as it possibly could have been to introduce Mii fighters being playable in the franchise, finally. Have the two big wigs of both US and Japan Nintendo, and just have them duking it out like this. Both in person and in game. And we also had the other big reveal that happened too. the amiibos, how it all began. Just Mario. Oh no, here it comes. And he's gone. Oop, pause that just a moment. So that initial reveal for the Miis was just, it was peak. Like, you couldn't have made a better case to actually have Miis playable with Iwata and Reggie going at it the way that they did. I remember how certain people at that point were going off about how funny it was, including myself. It was just so goofy. It's just like one of the best things they could have possibly done to advertise the Miis. And of course, like I said, that was the big thing, you know, the turning point where amiibos were a thing. And I remember thinking how cool the amiibos were just because it's like collecting actual trophies. You weren't just collecting them in the games anymore. Now you could actually collect them in real life, and actually having like legitimate Smash trophy figurines that you could do stuff with and train your own like CPUs. It was admittedly pretty cool. It drove a pretty convincing bargain to get you invested, and now we've seen the amiibo craze kind of come and go. Like, they're still around, but I think that period over like the last decade was just hype when it came to it. I remember so many people collecting the amiibos and also making a bunch of goofy Mii fighters too. Oh, interesting. So I'm actually missing a few. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out a second. So some of my selection just flat out disappeared, and then one of them did not save apparently. So I'm gonna have to readjust this a second. Although this does give me a little bit of an opportunity to quickly duplicate this again. There we go. That seems more about right at the moment, but yeah, I gotta figure out what happened to these. Like, I lost some icons here. Bear with me a second, I'm gonna pull up a different version of it, because I have the auto saved in my documents, but now I need to actually pull up the original and hope the icons are still there. Very strange. The good news is everything is still there. Okay, I see what's going on now. It was more of a me error thing. Got kind of confused there a second because my ordering didn't save from when I did it before. So I technically got to go over here and put this in. And this is definitely a Monte's favorite. The Mii trailer was so exciting to see. And actually having Mii's, because at that point, pretty much sky was the limit. You could do whatever you wanted. Anyone could be in Smash Bros. through the Mii avatars at that point. SpongeBob, Elijah Wood, Chris Pratt. So many people were just all of a sudden in Smash thanks to that feature. Such a goofy thing. So yeah, I still remember that trailer quite a bit, and I still share the gif of Iwata and Reggie fighting sometimes just to be like stalemate, you know, stuff like that. You're like, we're not getting anywhere. We're gonna be here all day. So let's move on to the next one then, because there was technically a part 2 to the Mii reveal that dropped a little later, featuring Sakurai himself.
Hello, I'm Masahiro Sakurai from Sora Limited. Here at the Nintendo Digital event, I'd like to lead off by talking.
Yeah, that's right. That's when they did reveal. This was during the digital event.
Right now, you're seeing two familiar bigwigs facing off in a friendly battle. But this isn't a simple pre-rendered animation. What you are seeing will be possible in the new Smash Bros. Games. Now, by using a Mii fighter, anyone can join the battle.
Yep, the Mii fighter is the avatar where anyone can be in Smash. Literally anyone. You, your brother, your sister, your parents. Didn't win an argument with any of them? Put him in the game and beat the crap out of them. That's how you solve your differences. And it was cool how they actually showed off like all the different classes too. This made this way more appealing at that point. Just having like all the different fighting styles available between the 3 types. And the movesets are pretty, like, straightforward. You could even argue generic in certain ways, but just the wow factor of being able to have, like, anyone in Smash through a Mii avatar was just so neat to see. And the moves were still pretty flashy, even though they weren't very... Because, I mean, they had to be. They had to be very bland in the sense of, like, you know, no direct references because they're Mii fighters. Like, you might see some, like, inspirations, but yeah, had to keep it simple. Yep, Mii Brawler, the Sword Fighter, and the Gunner. All 3. The only bummer was you couldn't use them online.
And prefer to be up close in person. Mii Brawlers are both fast and powerful. Sword Fighters are weapon masters. They stay cool and calm as they chase down opponents.
You get to be Dollar Store Link, or Link at home, depending. Gunner was actually probably my favorite out of them. Gunner, Brawler, and then Sword Fighter. That was the order of which ones I liked best.
Each type is treated as a separate fighter.
And they went over all the specials too. That was the thing. Started learning that, oh, you can actually customize special moves. Smash 4 was where this was a thing. 36 total specials, mix and match. There was a lot of customization with these guys. Lincoln gets sworn. Oh no. Elijah Wood from Back to the Future 2. Oh no. Anyone can be a Smash Bro.
This is your chance to defeat Nintendo's greats.
And that was the wow factor. Like, yep.
We're fast approaching the sales date of the 3DS version.
That's right. We were very close to actually getting our hands on the 3DS version around that time too.
Astronomical number of variables in a game like this. We have to be sure to put enough people on the debug team and test it correctly. Thank you for your patience.
Very understandable stance as someone who's on a dev team for a Smash project, that you want to make sure everything is working as best as possible before release.
And there are many different modes besides the main Smash battles. I won't go over them in detail now, but let me show you a bit of what's in store for you.
Hey guys, I love Smash Bros. If you love Smash Bros, you should make sure to subscribe to youtube.com/SmashBrosIGN. It's gonna be
Oh yeah, it was part of the IGN exclusive at that point too.
gameplay, and analysis of
It was so different.
content. You should subscribe because it's gonna be awesome.
Well, I'm gonna pause there again for a second. So where do I put this more in-depth reveal for the Mii Fighters? Obviously, it wasn't as amazing as that trailer for their initial reveal, but it did go over all the details you needed to know as far as like, oh yeah, these are very fleshed out characters, straightforward, to the point, but there's some really solid variety, not just with, oh, anyone can be in the game now because of the Mii Fighters. You had all these different moves and all these different fighting styles between the 3, and then 36 special moves to customize between them. It's like, yeah, I'm sold. Especially at that point, it was all just for the laughs anyways. Like, it wasn't a competitive mindset back then. It was just having fun, and that felt like basically the perfect ingredients for like all the fun you can imagine. As far as where I would put that trailer, though, it's funny. I would say it was at least pretty good. And just seeing like the funny references with like Abraham Lincoln and Elijah Wood, it's like you can literally have one of the well, not one of the founding, but you know, you could literally have one of the most important presidents in the U.S. history beating the crap out of SpongeBob if you wanted to. Thank you, Smash Bros. So yeah, good spot, very good spot for it. It was pretty awesome to see, and just answered all the questions at that point. So I guess we're on to the next one then. We're moving along. Thank goodness too, because I technically have to go all the way until Corrin. So yeah, a little over halfway as it were. It's a while, hopefully be starting earlier tomorrow. Okay, pause that. Disappear, and here we go. Yep, definitely a trademark for Smash reveals now, every time.
This fighter from Hyrule is quite impressive indeed. For a mere mortal.
Oh yeah. I remember seeing this and be like, wait, what? Closest thing we'll ever have to a Zelda anime? This was a pretty awesome trailer. Just seeing anime versions of Link versus Pit. Really well done animation, too. If I remember correctly, I think this was done by one of the same animation studios that made the Kid Icarus, like, little... I guess they were almost like little OVAs that were in the game, too. It might have been Studio Shaft. I think that's the one it looks the most like, because I think it was, like, Production IG was one of them. And that's not really their style.
Oh, I'm not here to save you.
It's like, wait, you're the one from the Brawl game that just kind of was there, and, oh, flashy. Yep, more puns.
I'm here for a little, divine intervention.
Link versus a god. Goddess, nothing new there.
Fight too, Lady Palutena? I'm no stranger to fighting. Have you forgotten that time we fought each other?
Yeah, sure. But that was when the Chaos King had you under mind control.
Well, anything an angel.
Like, wow, she's got a lot going on. Especially with those disjoints, too. And the freaking up smash with the beam.
To protect you.
One of the best nairs ever.
Heavenly light.
And then you started seeing this. And I remember thinking, wait. How do you do all this? How do you do all this with Palutena? What's her secret? Why she got all these moves? Not realizing yet that you could customize all these special moves. She was the special move showcase character.
Mega laser.
You don't have to prove anything to me, Lady Palutena.
Looks like angels only talk big. Many worthy
All these characters. Seeing so many of them, just like, wow, this game really was something else. It was just exciting to play a game that had all these characters in it. Something only Smash Bros. Can really accomplish, at least with the magic.
You just dropped in to crash my party?
Just shows up and goes, That was technically a Dark Pit reveal, too, even though at that moment it didn't really come off that way, because it's like, oh, alright. It's kind of shoehorned in at the very end. They're like, oh yeah, Dark Pit's a thing. Which also started showing, yep, we got the semi-clone Echo-y fighter characters before we even had the Echo Fighter term. There we go. As far as the Palutena trailer goes, though, it was really cool seeing something in that style. Actually having, like, an anime reveal. And then, at that point, I only knew her as the character that was hanging out with Pit during Subspace Emissary. And showed up in the final smashes. I'm like, alright, we got a Kid Icarus character. This is something else. I would have to say... it was pretty good. I liked it. Not as exciting as the Mii's for me. It helps that, you know, there was more investment with the Mii's because of all the times we used them back during that era. But the reveal was awesome. Showing off all those moves just made your mind wonder what was going on, if all characters have stuff like that. Really beautiful trailer. Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. And it did make me want to check out Kid Icarus more. It did its job. Did its job perfectly. And she's a pretty solid character, too. But here comes the one that I was really excited about. Here we go. Starting it up. We got the focus on the color. But who's yellow? There's only one. This was a no-brainer. As soon as I knew Bandai Namco was one of the like driving forces behind Smash 4 even being a thing, it's like, yeah, Pac-Man finally being in was a no-brainer. And this was exciting. Out of all the mascot characters, Pac-Man was actually the one I was the most excited to see in the game. So many years playing the early day games. Had like Namco Museum and all that and played Pac-Man all the time. And the music from this trailer still kind of lives rent-free in my head after all this time, too. It's like, how do you rep a character that's basically pizza with a missing slice? And they found a way. Proof that anything can be a Smash moveset with the right ideas. This was also a fun. I like how they're like, oh yeah, Pac-Man, you're one of the oldest video game mascots ever, too, by the way. By a year. Ah, it was so good. Okay, so as far as which one I would place it as, oh, it's either going to be the top of Near Peak or one of my favorites. I'm going to say, yeah, this is one I still think back on. So, it's below the Mii's. But having Pac-Man actually playable in Smash, it made perfect sense as soon as I knew who was making it, and I had good memories playing the different Pac-Man games. Something that I kind of shared with my parents because, you know, that was more of their time during their, you know, their younger days. So that kind of fun to have like that special bond through Pac-Man for that reason. So a little bit of extra affinity there for sure. Yeah, and it was a pretty big deal at that point because you had all these characters, these mascots, all in Smash Bros. You actually had like by that point, yeah, you had Pac-Man, you had Mega Man, Sonic, and Mario all in the same game together. I remember even making a really like quick thrown together wallpaper where I took the renders and took the stripes and recreated it and labeled it as like the 4-way battle to the death. You had Nintendo versus Capcom and Sega, and yeah. And then, of course, Bandai Namco, even though they were kind of pretty much buddy-buddies with Nintendo at that point, but just having, like, that Namco legacy there, because that's how it all was before the merger. It was hype. I loved it. So, yeah, definitely belongs in that spot. It's just crazy to think back on, though. Okay, so I guess it's time to move on to the next. Uh-oh, we might be getting some people frustrated with these ones, depending on how you feel about Fire Emblem. This is kind of the start of a trend. This trailer was pretty cool, though. Just this fight with Captain Falcon, of all things, showing up. He's here to show you his moves. What do you do when the fist is mightier than the sword? There it is. Oh, but surprise. We got some spell casting stuff going on here. This actually got my attention. I'm like, alright, we're putting more Fire Emblem in here, but this character actually seems interesting. There's a familiar song, too. One of the best ones from Melee. Like, no, like, any relations or, like, interest or investment in Fire Emblem at that point. And honestly, even to this day, still pretty much. But when I saw Robin's moveset, I'm like, alright, this is actually a pretty cool looking character.
So many tomes.
I can only use them so many times, which is why I carry my loving sword.
This is no time for me to rest. I'll fight at your side.
And then, of course, we got a little bit more focus on Lucy, and I'm just like, wait, she's pretty much doing all the Marth stuff. Like, I actually remember thinking at first, like, is she replacing Marth in this game? Nope, wait, never mind. They're both in this game. I'm like, shoot. We got 2 swordsmen.
Opponents indeed.
And then he had Crom here. This was kind of funny, I'll admit. And just like, I'm just gonna... I'll be back in the sequel. Bet on it. Oh, wait, no, just kidding. You get to be in Robin's final smash. Consolation prize, right? And you can also play his avatar character. I was confused by that. I'm like, wait, are they twins? With the same name? Not knowing what was going on. I had to have people explain to me what was going on. So as far as that goes... how would I rate that? Well, given the circumstances... The Lucina reveal is definitely in the indifferent category. I mean, when it comes down to it, I definitely like playing her more than Marth. Just because, you know, don't have to worry about precise tipper spacing, stuff like that. But just the reveal of it, it's like, oh no, here we go again. Robin, on the other hand, was pretty good. I'd say below... Yeah, below Palutena in this case. It was pretty good. I liked what I was seeing there. The moveset actually looked really cool. I remember that was the thing that got me wanting to play Robin quite a bit, even though I had like no investment in anything Fire Emblem related at that point, other than but that little bit through Melee. So, yeah. Was way more excited to play Robin compared to like Ike in the previous game. So, yeah, did its job. We may like Ike, but Robin couldn't be Robin without Batman. So, thank you, Batman. That's how we got Robin, and that's pretty good. Should slap myself for saying that. Well, I guess that means we get to move on to the next one, and this is where things start getting a little interesting once again. Guys, I wonder what trailer this is going to be for. I'm like, Bowser, wait. Are we getting another Mario rep? What's going on here? And Butterfly. I'm like, oh no, wait, a sword, but with a lightsaber coming out of it? Who is this guy? I had no idea what Xenoblade was at all during this time period.
I'm really feeling it.
Oh no. Mr. Backslash himself. Neat idea with the foresight. I like how it also gave him a more unique take on the traditional counter. And his Monado arts was very interesting to see. Like, it was fun actually using, like, speed or smash or jump. Like, those are the ones I enjoyed using the most. He had some good reach on that forward smash. I liked how he actually got a little more oomph with the beam when it popped out. Yep, there's the jump. And speed. It was cool. I like the Monado arts for that. But after I got my fill of it, I just never really went back to playing Shulk at that point. He's like one of the... Out of all the sword characters, he's probably the one I play the least. Officially, anyways. Yeah, counter's pretty flashy, though. Can't deny that. Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and for Wii U. Kind of a waste of opportunity. I didn't find a way to put Metal Face in as like a boss character or something with that little thing at the end. I mean, he was a stage hazard when, you know, that was a really big deal in Smash 4. So it worked. It was a nice teaser like, oh, wait, something's going on there. As far as placement goes, though, for Shulk, well, you kind of get an idea just because of how I had him placed there. Like, I almost forgot to include him in the lineup. So, I'm going to have to say... indifferent. Was very indifferent with Shulk's inclusion. Had no idea what Xenoblade was. And later found out, oh wait, Xenoblade. Does that have to do with Xenosaga? Being only remotely familiar with that through name alone. There we go. That seems better. A little more spaced out there. Also going to quickly save this. Hang on a second. I just don't want to lose it for next time. Figured it'd be a good idea. Don't want to lose track when I start doing this again for part 2 tomorrow. I just got to get ready for the next one. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. This one was actually kind of exciting. There we go. I'm going to check something here. I'm a little nervous. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, no way. Another Mario rep, and it's not just any Mario rep. First time you ever see the shield from Smash actually in a cutscene, too. Like, wow, this clown car has got a little bit of everything. Clown's the competition. The trend's going. Oh, there's Neos. Welcome aboard. It was cool seeing him in here. I love Sunshine, and once they started putting Bowser Jr. into the Mario mythos, it's like, yeah, it just made sense. Nice nod to that era with that final Smash. This was also a nice touch. I like how they were like, you know what, let's make this character a little bit more special and bring back all the Koopalings too. Even though it did cheat us of some Bowser Jr. recolors, this does work out pretty well. It's a clever way to squeeze in these other characters as alts. Even though, honestly, I think I only know one person who plays any of the Koopalings in, like, our region, off the top of my head. Most other people I usually see just default to Bowser Jr. I still like this logo better, too, than the one we got for Ultimate. Ultimate's logo was just so simple, and Smash 4's was really flashy. I think out of all the logos in the Smash franchise, 3DS Wii U was my favorite. Melee's is pretty good, but it's very, I don't know. Same with Brawl. It's kind of got this, like, it's there, but not quite it. Smash 4 was very proud of how it looked. So, as far as the placement for Bowser Jr. goes, this will be interesting. Yeah. I'm going to put him in, I think for me, near peak. going to actually put him behind Snake for me. I played a lot of Bowser Jr. for fun when I got the game. It was fun just dropping the Mecha Koopa and just making everyone's life miserable. I never played him really in competitive. But when I was just goofing off with friends, 8-player Smash, hanging out until 2 in the morning. Yeah, there was a lot of Bowser Jr. during that period. And I miss it. I miss those simpler times with 8-player Smash and all items on. Not a bad spot for him. Oops, did I forget to do that? I think I did. There we go. So yeah, I placed him there. This is where I'm currently at with my tier list too, with all the characters. Since we're getting closer to the end, we're coming up on, yeah, final stretch for tonight. Like I said, I'll do a part 2 tomorrow, covering the other half leading into Ultimate, and also branching off, because before I do Ultimate reveals, I'm going to take a quick detour and go through some of these PM Smash modding character reveals that happened during that period that I was really invested in. Probably up to cutting off right around where Toad's at. But we're going to get through the rest of Smash 4 tonight, though. This is where things are currently at. I explained this earlier before my first stream completely crashed on me, but I did also include the Melee opening and the reveal for Brawl, because those were technically character reveals. Melee's opening was the E3 reveal until they fine-tuned it a little more for release, and then we all saw Brawl's reveal with putting, well, let's see, we had Meta Knight, Zero Suit, Pit, Wario, and then of course Snake. That was a pretty big deal. So yeah, this is where we're currently at with my list. So let's get into the next one. Who was after Bowser Jr.? I think this is when we got the big announcement that yes, Mewtwo was actually coming back. But it was not handled very gracefully, in my opinion. And I'm sure a lot of people felt that way too.
Time for a special announcement.
There it is. It was just like, oh, you guys didn't forget about Mewtwo. But you're putting him in DLC. Mixed feelings across the board with this announcement. Look at him. He's both 3DS and Wii U, low poly and high poly. What more could you want?
This completion date is scheduled for spring of 2015. Please stay tuned.
Crazy to think we'd already had Smash for like what, about, I'd have to say about 4, yeah, it was about 4 months, I think, 4 or 5 months. I think, because we had the 3DS one first, and then Wii U was out. We got to enjoy that for a couple of months in that winter period leading into spring of 2015. I remember working at a job here in town and watching a trailer during that period of that announcement and being like, okay, you guys didn't forget about Mewtwo, but DLC, I'm not feeling it. That's not making me very happy. It was nice to see him back, but during that period, I will admit, this actually made me a little mad, that initial reveal. Like, seriously? You're doing this to us? You're bringing Mewtwo back, but you're doing it like this? I wasn't very happy with that. I'm like, great. Legacy characters is DLC. This is going to be a thing, isn't it? That was like I already wasn't too thrilled with how the characters were getting split up because of the hardware limitations. Like, taking away the transformation abilities for characters like Pokemon Trainer, Zelda, Sheik. It's like, alright, this is the other little sour spot that we're getting with this new Smash game. So that means... Yep, there we go. So yeah, little mad. Definitely a little mad. Happy to see that Mewtwo was back, but the way they implemented him just was not it. Never put legacy content as DLC. That's how you make people upset. And it worked. I was mad, even if it was just a little bit. Because I think a part of me was still more happy to know that Mewtwo was actually coming back, and it wasn't going to be a repeat of Brawl where it's like, oh, we're just putting the newest Pokemon in. Mewtwo's a thing of the past, even though Mewtwo is still one of the most popular Mons all the way up even in X and Y. Gave it Mega Evolutions in that game too. So, like, why? Why doing it like this? This isn't fair. This is not right. I'm gonna make Anakin go after younglings at this point. Alright, let's get into the next one, though. Oh, yeah. The Duck Hunt reveal. It's like as soon as you saw the Smash symbol and saw the dog, you're like, alright. It's Duck Hunt. We're making Duck Hunt happen. This is cute. Nice throwback to the old days. I remember getting mad at Duck Hunt all the time because I could never shoot the ducks, and that would happen every single time. And then this is where things got a little fun. I like that. It's like, yes. Nice callback to the glory days. Simpler times. Love that transition into the... Just all the trailers look so good. When they look this good, I should say. Because we're going to get into the to the bummer part pretty soon, too. Duck Hunt, I think, was the last trailer we got something with that extra level of detail. I remember also being bummed. It's like, we got Duck Hunt, and it's doing a lot of stuff that I kind of wish Banjo-Kazooie would have been doing with the duo thing going on here, even though we find out it's actually a trio. I also will always use Duck Hunt as an argument too, because I've seen people say before that characters like Spyro couldn't be in Smash because four-legged. It's like, seriously, Ivysaur, Duck Hunt, shut up. Spyro could be in Smash if they really wanted it to happen. There's the Zapper, and yep, it's not a duo, it's a trio. There's someone in the grassy knoll right now. Ah. You can tell they had a lot of fun with this one, too. It's just so retro. I love it. Even though it did make me a little sad that it wasn't Banjo. It was cool seeing them bring back more of the old guard from the NES era. That's basically the staples. Duck Hunt was kind of a big deal back then. A lot of people had fun playing it. As far as the placement goes, whew. I would say, I'd put it in the pretty good category. Although in this instance, in the pretty good category, let's see. I'm going to put it Duck Hunt just behind Greninja in this case. There we go. Yeah, I was actually pretty excited for Duck Hunt to be included. I'm like, yay, you're putting in more NES characters, and they're also ones that, shoot, I could even talk about with my parents and be like, yeah, they're putting Duck Hunt in Smash Bros. And then being like, Duck Hunt, I remember that. It made it special. It gave me good times actually just chit-chatting with people. Especially people that played a lot of like the NES games growing up. It gave us something to talk about. And this is silly to play. Duck Hunt's a funny character. Even if it's not a very good character. Matter of opinion, I'm sure. Alright. We're getting into the next one then. And this is where things... it'll be interesting to share my thoughts on this one in a second. There he is. Nice tagline, too. I like the reference back to the first movie. Wouldn't have been my first choice for the song, but... yeah, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, great. This is good. The moveset is everything I remember from Melee. And Mewtwo looked a lot better, because Melee Mewtwo definitely looked kind of rough looking back. Design-wise. Yep, and we got some of that Mega reference there. Like, there we go. Should have still been base character. Shouldn't have been DLC, but seeing that trailer made me actually excited to play Mewtwo properly after that letdown of, oh, coming back as DLC. So as far as my stance goes there, I think I'll put Mewtwo's at the top of all right. Like, I love Mewtwo as a character, even though he's just not good in Smash normally, with the exception of this game. One game where you actually were doing good stuff with Mewtwo. I still had a little bit of that sour spot over how being just allocated to DLC at that point. But felt better than I did with that point where I was mad. Yeah, that seems right. Just like it could have been so much better. Should have just been default in the game, but the way he was brought back, it's like, yeah. Thankfully, the footage made me happy with the moveset and being like, okay, everything's where I remember it being. I feel good about that. They didn't, like, just completely change Mewtwo just because they had Lucario doing a lot of similar stuff with, like, Neutral B and the like. So, they brought Mewtwo back. Wasn't the best way, but it was alright. Alright, let's move quick because it is getting late. And I gotta go to bed in a second. Thankfully, these ones, I'm pretty much, like, got my thoughts locked in. Behold this montage of just Ness having the worst time of his life. Is this a montage of, like, all the competitive Ness players right now? Oh yeah, I remember thinking, why isn't Lucas in this game? And they just brought Lucas back. And then the running gag, I remember the internet going crazy again. It's like, oh cool, you brought Lucas back to Smash, but you still won't give us Mother 3. I mean, between the two, I think I still do enjoy playing Lucas more. But, yeah, Lucas was also the DLC. We're bringing back legacy characters as DLC. Isn't this exciting? It's what you always wanted. Characters you got to enjoy for free in a past game. They're back, but, you know, money. Oh, double kill. Credit where they're due. I like what they do in game. It's always inspired so many ideas for me when I'm doing stuff with Remix. As far as where Lucas goes on the list, though, is where I show some of that frustration regarding the, oh, hey, you're back, sort of thing. Yeah. I think Lucas being added was kind of the bottom of all right. It's like, okay, you're back. That's nice. Yep, there we go. Yeah, it's just the whole DLC thing, basically. It's like, legacy characters, you take them out, you put them back in, you charge money for them. I'm not going to be happy about it. And it doesn't do any favors if the character's something I'm not super invested in anyways, so kind of a basically. So, yeah, it was just alright. Nice to see that he was back. Whatever. Let's see, and that means we're moving on to at least something that was a step in the right direction. Oh, shoot. Welcome aboard, by the way, then. Is it Emil? Or Emil? However you pronounce it, I'm sorry. I recommend, then, coming back tomorrow night. Around, well, a little earlier than this time. Maybe a couple hours earlier. I'm because it is getting late where I'm at, I'm going to finish tonight up at where Corrin is, and then I explained this a little bit earlier, but I'll run it by you since you're here. So I'm finishing up the Smash 4 roster tonight with Corrin, and then leaving it where it is. And then tomorrow when I start, I'm going to first chip through some of the modded characters that were popping up in the scene around the time of Smash 4, because, you know, once upon a time there was a PM happening when Smash 4 was getting a lot of popularity, and we did get some characters for that. And then other characters started happening because modding Brawl wasn't too difficult compared to other things. So I wanted to detour a second and go through a few of them before going into Smash Ultimate, because there's kind of that interesting intersection point for me as someone who was checking this stuff out a lot before Smash Ultimate came out. So yeah, tomorrow will be the Sephiroth trailer. But we are doing Cloud tonight. So bear with me. Although, where was I a second? I guess I actually got to pull up the next trailer, so allow me to do that. If I remember correctly, this should be, yep, Ryu. Smash 4 splitting of the symbol always looks so much cooler, too. I'm like, wait, is that Ryu from Streets in Smash? Hadouken confirmed for Smash. And this is where they started doing the franchise logo, Smash Bros. Cross Street Fighter. It's actually kind of cool. Oh, there goes the shield. I remember seeing this trailer and thinking, oh shoot, you put a fighting game character into Smash Bros? Like a legitimate, traditional fighting game character? Oh, you're gonna break everything. Especially when you see stuff like this. I'm like, what can't Ryu stop? Oh, can't stop, you know, recovery because recovery's so trash. That's how you balance him out. Basically, put him in the same boat as Little Mac, but a little bit more versatile by comparison. 2 final smashes.
You must defeat my Shoryuken to stand a chance.
And then I hear that and I think back to the old meme, the Shenlong to stand a chance. That ain't Heihachi. Imposter. Something sus about that guy. As far as the placement goes, because I was always into Tekken way more than Street Fighter by comparison. I played a little bit of Street Fighter when I hung out with friends, but when it came down to it, always a Tekken guy. So, as far as Ryu being in, I would say I thought it was pretty alright in this case. More so than the Snake reveal. There we go. Nice little spot right there. Pretty neat. Like I said, was always more into Tekken. I think for a moment there I was more excited for like the Heihachi Mii costume, but also being frustrated that there was no Tekken in Smash, just the costume. So I'm like, alright, I guess we at least get a fighting game character though, which is kind of neat. Kind of broke tradition at that point when it came to Smash. A 2D fighter showing up and a platform fighter. Who would have thought? And he had to come from the streets too while he was at it. Okay, so let's move on to the next one then. This kind of puts me back toward the indifferent spot, I can already tell. I know who's next, and I wasn't too thrilled about this. Goes back into the problem with 2 other characters that we've watched the trailers for. Like, oh no, Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem. We're doing another Fire Emblem already? Okay.
僕を忘れないでほしいな。
Oh, they brought back our boy. Like, you know what? You got one game to take a break, but you're back now. The voice actor for him still was like right on point though. New lines, and they sound great. You could say he hasn't lost his edge. Nice. They brought back his counter. He really is a Fire Emblem character. Oh, Lynn, says trophy. And someone had fun doing that.
守るべき者のために負けられない。
No. Nice to see he was back, but because of the whole DLC thing as a veteran character being brought back after being absent from the previous game, just like, shouldn't have been this way. Would have been so much cooler if they had been just in the base roster to show, hey, they're back this time, rather than shoehorning them in with the other DLC slots. Just kind of, yeah, it's kind of in the alright category, but I'd have to say below Lucas in this case. Like, it was nice seeing characters that I enjoyed from the earlier days of my Smash Bros. Escapades, back in my Melee days, but it could have been handled so much better. Yeah, that lines up pretty well. Our boy was back, but they had to do him dirty when they brought him back by making him paid DLC. Let's see. Oh shoot, I know who's next then. I remember at first when I saw this, like, got kind of a space vibe going on here. Who's this gonna be? Nope, got the cross. And I'm like, uh-oh, Final Fantasy. Not just any Final Fantasy, 7? The one that has, like, the least presence on anything Nintendo related, and they're putting this into Smash? We're putting Cloud in? Like, last time I checked, he didn't even have anything on a Nintendo other than a couple of spin-offs of Kingdom Hearts. But at this point, back then, I was thinking, no, Cloud. Like, if Cloud can be in Smash, can't Master Chief be in Smash? I mean, really? Like, this is literally the game that Square made to compete against Nintendo when that all fell through. Jumped ship and became PlayStation exclusive during that time period. Song's pretty hype though. It was using a lot of silly videos I remember watching growing up. Along with Final Fantasy VI. Got the Advent Children look, which I recognize because there were a lot of people in high school that were really into Final Fantasy. They tried to get me to watch Final Fantasy Advent Children now that I think about it. Never did. Or at least not until later. I watched it on my own. When it was free to watch on YouTube, actually. Limits are always meant to be broken. Like, that seems fair. But I guess limits were broken, so it's fine. I'm like, wait, did he snap the stage? Heck, you can't do that. Like, oh, stage gimmick, never mind. Oh. I get the reference now. Didn't then. Well, you can't have a Sephiroth. I guess Ike's the next best thing in this case. Smells like Chocobo. What does Chocobo smell like? That's the real question I'm left with by the end of that trailer. Oh, boy. So, yeah, big Cloud reveal. I remember that was making waves just because it's like Cloud. And, like, out of any Final Fantasy rep to be in Smash Bros., you're picking the one that was pretty much like the defiance of Square going against Nintendo over not making it easier for them to make stuff for Nintendo, and they jumped ship and joined PlayStation at that point. I'm like, whew, interesting choice. Bold strategy, but it did the trick. A lot of people were very happy. I remember so many of them being excited over Cloud being in Smash. Me, though, oh. This might make Neos upset a little bit, but I'm putting Cloud at the top of indifferent. Like, just that same thing of, like, I had no history with Final Fantasy VII at all. The only Final Fantasy that I really have any history with at this point is 6. Never got into the others. Certainly didn't get into 7 at that point, unfortunately, for better or for worse. So, yeah, pretty much top of indifferent. Fighting style I thought was cool, and I did play Cloud a lot because he felt, honestly, he was one of the more fun sword characters out of the lot. Enjoyed playing him more than, say, like, enjoyed playing him more than Roy, or Lucina, or Marth. I'd actually pick Cloud over Link, even more fun to play in my opinion. But no real love for Final Fantasy VII, with just a small tie thanks to, you know, Final Fantasy and then 6. Pretty much indifferent, but, you know, like I said, indifferent's not totally a bad thing, just wasn't jumping up and down over Cloud's inclusion. But I knew people were happy about it too. He's got a really big sword. I guess that much makes him really cool. Big sword characters. Why not? So, we're coming up on the end here. We only got 2 characters left for tonight. Are we getting another Kid Icarus character? Oh, man.
Don't get careless, Pit. A challenger approaches.
Don't you mean Nunny?
The angel must have missed one.
I'm like, uh-oh. Focus on the moon. That accent. Yep, there she is. Bayonetta in Smash Bros. This was actually a kind of a shock, just because it's like, sure, we didn't have Snake in this one at this point. And Snake's technically been in M-rated games before, but he's also been in T, you know, and the M was kind of more like, it was a surprise to see Bayonetta, considering her source material. Especially when you think about Smash being advertised as the game for the good boys and girls, you know. Anything but. And we're thinking, wow, that's some busted Smash attacks. And she's also got the shooting mechanic, too, on top of it. She had a lot going for her. And she broke Smash 4 with the best counter of all time. Perfectly. Oh, that's cursed. They had to show us cursed. My life will never be the same. Cool that they had both games alts, though. It's always a nice touch. It's like that same extra attention to detail like Cloud got with the Advent Children alt.
Don't tell me you're done already. She's so tough. Don't be such a wimp.
Oh, look, Dark Pit is in this game. Just in case you didn't know.
Time for the best part. Smashing.
Yeah, the actual trailers themselves kind of lost a little bit of something, but the gameplay presentation, still pretty on point. It just kind of makes you wish that Cloud and Bayo and these other characters actually had something a little more cinematic, like Mega Man and Bowser Jr. and all of them before. So the Bayo placement. What am I going to say? Pretty much the same ballpark, but behind Cloud. Kind of in that indifferent camp. I knew who Bayonetta was during that time period, but hadn't played. Just kind of had a good idea of what it was kind of like, and just hadn't gotten into it, so... Kind of broke that a little bit. Let's fix. But yeah, definitely more indifferent than Cloud, just because at least Cloud had a long-lasting legacy, and I was very much aware of who he was and what franchise he was a part of. But still more aware and more curious than, say, Xenoblade at that point. So that's where it's like a little less indifferent. Higher up on the indifferent list means a little less indifferent than, say, the bottom of it, where it's way more indifferent. So you get that? I'm indifferent toward them a little bit less. But I think we're on the last one now. We're coming up on the end for tonight. So all those amazing reveals. And unfortunately, Smash 4 does not end with a bang, but it ends with a whimper. Kind of the same problem with some of those reveals there before, where it's like Mega Man and then you get Wii Fit. This was worse. This was much worse of a jump downward in terms of like, oh, really?
This way.
I immediately knew I was looking at Fire Emblem. It's like, oh no, again, we just got Roy back, and you got Robin. What else do you need? Where's the F-Zero reps? Why don't we have another Star Fox character? What's going on? What's up with all these anime sword characters? I can only handle so much.
I feel like I have no choice, but
He forgot his shoes. Just join Smash. That should be my... I can't come into work today. I need to join Smash.
What are you doing? Yeah, Corrin.
sorry, big brother. I've made my decision.
Oh, sure, it's cool. It's just not as cool as it could be, and it's certainly not as cool here as it is over there. Also, welcome aboard, Soul Rock. About to wind down for the night. It's the last trailer since it's getting late. And I gotta do part 2 tomorrow when I get into the ultimate characters.
It's taking on a form I've never seen.
Ooh, that looks painful.
He's using Dragon Fang. The power of the first dragon.
I mean, I liked some of the moves I was seeing here. Like, it was creative as a moveset, and I've said before, when it comes down to it, a fun Smash moveset does matter more than necessarily where the character's from or how much I care about him as a, as a rep. If they're a fun moveset, I mean, I do actually play Corrin more than I do Robin, like, comparatively between them. Soul Rock, that's a strange way of saying F-Zero. That's way too many syllables.
Wow, even better.
It's like, I guess you could say a little more effort was put in. Well, maybe not, because he used literally the cutscene from the game, I keep hearing from people. So it's like you just recycled and put one extra text selection box at the bottom. Oh, man. Like, really? We're ending the roster of Smash 4 with a Fire Emblem rep. That was kind of funny. And that's it. That's all the characters in Smash 4. So, yeah, we covered all the newcomers from Melee through Brawl to here. It's a pretty good list. So, how do I feel about Corrin? Well, it should be no surprise that even though, out of all the Fire Emblem characters, I tend to use Corrin the most when I play. Yeah. Pretty much the bottom of indifferent. Because at least Shulk was from a new franchise, even if I didn't know anything about Xenoblade whatsoever. I at least knew it was new. Meanwhile, we just got Fire Emblem again for like how many times in Smash 4? You had the Lucina, Robin, then Roy, then Corrin. It's like, that's a lot. Especially since you were showing all these amazing characters from franchise you didn't expect. Final Fantasy VII, Bayonetta, for crying out loud, Street Fighter with Ryu, and it's like, and then earlier in the base game with Mega Man, it's like you guys could have gotten a little more creative with it. I guess you kind of maybe couldn't because the budget only goes so far, and you could tell by the quality of those last trailers when it was just pretty much strictly in-game or borrowing from another game's cutscenes just to make it happen. But yeah, I don't know. If you were going to pick an in-house franchise, I think it would have been cool to do an F-Zero rep. Could have had Black Shadow or Deathborn. Star Fox, you could have gotten the chance to put in another rep from that. Could have put Crystal in for all the fans that wanted Crystal badly, and they took Wolf out too. That's the other thing that's baffling. Wolf was already in such an incomplete state in Brawl, they couldn't even give us a complete Wolf until Ultimate. Now I'm rambling here. It's going to get me worked up, but it's not enough to keep me going until tomorrow. I have some willpower. Just barely, though. So yeah, this is where the list is currently standing. So, yeah, no surprise. The melee reveals for the newcomers is my peak. I still fondly remember it to this day. The Little Mac reveal was always one of the most exciting things out of Smash 4 for me. Loved Little Mac as a character thanks to Punch-Out. Was so happy to see that they brought him back and remembered, oh yeah, he is a classic Nintendo character we could add to the roster. The Mii Fighters was amazing with that Iwata versus Reggie trailer. It was always hype. Pac-Man being in the game. Out of all the mascots, Pac-Man meant the most to me. So happy to see him there. Then having some franchises from other, characters from other franchises that I wasn't expecting, like actually having playable Animal Crossing with Villager. Like, bringing Mega Man in was a very, very smart move. Bowser Jr. was an awesome pick for a Mario rep. And yeah, and then kicking down the floodgates with Snake, even though Snake, when it could have been a Belmont or something, But I get it. It was strictly a Kojima push, and Kojima was with Konami at that point, so it worked out perfectly. So yeah, this is the list as it stands. We will continue it tomorrow as I go into both modded characters, which have their own category up here. That way we're still keeping it separate, but still acknowledging, because the community has done some really amazing stuff, which I would even argue is cooler than some of the stuff we've gotten officially anyways. So yeah, tomorrow we'll start off with some modded characters before we jump into the Ultimate and go all the way through there. And then we'll finish with modded characters to round it out. So, yeah, this was fun. It takes a while, though. I forgot how long it takes sitting through how so many of these trailers are like 3 to 4 minutes long. It eats up so much time. It's already a new day. So, yeah, we're going to wind it down for tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow. Start hopefully an hour or two earlier than I did tonight, just to be on the safe side. Because, yeah, this is still a decent chunk, even though some of these trailers go pretty quick. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I liked going through so far and looking back on these, watching these again. Some of these I haven't seen in, like, I'd have to say a couple of them I haven't seen in over a couple of years now. But it was interesting kind of looking back and remembering where I was at during that time period when all this was new. All the way from simpler times when I was just a wee lad to someone who just got out of high school. And now we're going into, like, well, I don't know what period you call it. The period before the doom and gloom settles in of adulthood. Truly. So, that being said, thank you all for being here tonight. I will continue with part 2 tomorrow. It'll be interesting, for sure. And yeah, once again, happy 26th anniversary to Smash Bros. Because, yep, today was the day that it first released over in Japan back in 1999. That's what inspired me to do this. So, thank you for being here. I look forward to doing this again tomorrow. And until tomorrow, farewell.